Right, so we're back. So welcome back, everyone, to Is This Music's podcast. This is episode 2, Undiscovered Music. Thanks again for tuning in, and we mustn't have been too bad if you're coming back, and welcome if you're a new listener. Slightly more of us this time round. You've got the same crew as you did last time. Myself, Craig. We've got Stuart, the head honcho of Is This Music. Gus, also known as Betty Mayonnaise, Paul Storr, and we've got Connor and Adam joining us as well. So we'll start with Connor and Adam. If you want to introduce yourselves and give us a little rundown, Adam, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm a writer and photographer for Is This Music. Been working with ITM for about a year almost now. Covering all sorts from punk and hardcore to electronic. And this year I think I'm going to probably focus a bit more on the DIY scene of Scotland, exploring the more kind of hidden venues and acts that maybe we haven't heard about.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And that's kind of what Is This Music was founded on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Sure, I know I'm kind of stealing your history here, but it is all about what's happening in Scotland. We can always get carried away with the big arena shows and all the mega stars coming through Scotland, but people forget Scotland actually have a brilliant history of music and creating their own, especially the DIY scene and the more niche things like hardcore and punk as well.
Yeah.
Which I would fight anyone who says we're not better than America at it, definitely. So it's brilliant to have someone so passionate about it like Adam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sort of going into those scenes, and really excited to see what he comes up with in the coming months and year. Have you anything happened this year so far, Adam, that you're right into?
There's a few things. I was at on the 15th of January. I went to this gig by these promoters, Shindig. Don't know if anyone's familiar with them, but it was at Sleazy's. I think it was like 5 bands. It was a really great gig. One of the bands, the headliner, Civil Elegies. They're kind of like a, I don't know, not super group, but like there's a member of a couple different bands from Glasgow. I think the bassist from Ashenspire and the singer from Moni Jitchell, if anyone's familiar
Yes.
with them. And then I can't remember. There's another guitarist. I can't remember what band he's from, but they were headlining. That was a really really good set from them, and they had support from a few bands. There was these 2 guys called Shag Nasty. They were quite crazy.
Heard of them,
Yeah.
I saw them back down the rabbit hole. They are insanely good.
It was their last ever gig. They said they're done. They literally deleted their Instagram account right after the gig. They said they're finished. But it was a very good gig. I think they've got a recording on Bandcamp of the last performance, which is pretty cool.
That's good. Yeah.
But who else is playing? This band Smirk. They're really good. They're like I don't know, Phil Funk almost. It's like a combination of like brass and hardcore kind of like really thrashy kind of guitar stuff.
Nice.
But that's one of my highlights from.
Did you say brass as in brass instruments?
Yeah. Sorry?
Did you say brass as in brass instruments or something?
Yes, yeah. There was there's a trombone, a trumpet, and then I think there was a saxophone. Well, that's woodwind.
Oh, wow. Punk, yeah.
But it was really good. It was really good. It reminded me a bit of Opus Kink.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with them, but maybe just a bit heavier. But yeah, that was a pretty good highlight of the last.
Awesome. Sleazy's is such a good venue for that kind of thing.
It's brilliant.
As well, I think later on we will be doing a sort of rundown of venues, and Sleazy's will be on it. It's the kind of love it or hate it place, especially if you're a photographer trying to take photos without a flash. That is completely impossible, but it is still such a good venue for underground stuff. And I'm very sad to hear about Shag Nasty as well, because I was loving them. But a lot of the times in Scotland, bands sort of burn out rather than fade away, and usually come back with better things as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Connor, tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Hello, I'm Connor. I'm a photographer. Have been for Is This Music for about 6 months, I think. 3 to 6
Time
months.
flies. Yeah.
Time does fly. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's been a month. No, it's been about four or five, maybe 6 months. Covering pretty much any genre. I mainly kind of into rock music or metal music. Not too heavy, but some of that. Highlight though is definitely Biffy Clyro in January at the Hydro.
Right.
In my opinion, always an absolute 10 out of 10 band. Don't know if anyone's seen them before, but
Yep.
Once or twice. I think, especially being a sort of Scottish podcast about music, I think we're going to mention Biffy every single episode.
I'll be wrong not to, wouldn't it?
This episode, I know that they're the kings of Scottish music, whether you agree with it or not. It's definitely a band we'll keep on coming round to now that they're playing the Hydro, and then later on this year, Edinburgh.
Well, they're the kind of band that play all the time, but always sell out.
Yeah. You could put them like on I was going to say an island, but current events probably you wouldn't want to be seen dead on any private islands, but you could put them on a very large landmass.
Live at Epstein Island. Yes, that would sell.
Yeah, and they would sell out any space is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, we'll probably be mentioning them as well. You're also being very coy in not mentioning your own past in musical history.
I was told not to by Paul over there.
Excuse me. Paul is the one who celebrates your past constantly, Connor. So you can wind that in.
I used to play guitar in a band called Yashin, who done all right in Scotland. Got signed to Sony when I was 24, I think, 23 maybe. Now I play in a band called Safe Harbour, who you should definitely listen to. Because no one knows who they are. Well, nah, not quite, but...
So we'll definitely be chatting more about Safe Harbour as well. Me being as old as I am, totally remember Yashin back in the MySpace days and whatnot. And when I found out you played in them, I was like, oh, that was amazing. I was in a band as well who weren't nearly as good or as big, but definitely sort of aspired to be like them. Just we were better looking, but you can't win them all, unfortunately. So yeah, I'll just run through sort of what I've been up to since January. This is getting recorded mid-February. So the February up until now in January, a few big gigs, all-time low in January was good. Really enjoyed that.
That was fantastic.
Was really good, yeah. Confetti, streamers, the whole lot. It was a big party as well. Going from a huge venue like the Hydro to the Attic. I was at Trash Boat at the Attic, which I still think should have been a bigger venue for them, considering they've been signed to Hopeless Records for some time, and they should really be playing bigger venues than a 150 cap with no barrier. But when you do see bands playing venues like that as well, it's really special. So that was good as well. And just this weekend, the three of us, myself, Paul and Connor, checked out Punk Rock Factory, which is, we spoke about them last time, a fantastic covers band of your Disney songs, your kids' TV theme tunes, and some 90s hits in the pop punk style. And then the night after that, I was back at the Barrowlands for Elvana and Nick Cage Against the Machine, who I cannot recommend highly enough. Nick Cage Against the Machine were tremendous. He comes out in all various Nick Cage styles in his pants for the last couple songs. He skateboarded through the audience at the Barrowlands as well, and completely substituted the lyrics to Bomb Track with Nick Cage dialogue. So absolutely recommend checking them all out. And Elvana were fantastic as well as always. And I never thought I would be talking so much about tribute acts or people who purely do covers. But here we are.
Was this under-attended a wee bit, Craig? Was the Elvana gig a wee bit under-attended? Was it busy enough?
I'm not sure if it totally sold out. One of the issues was you had Elvana and then you had Punk Rock Factory the night before, and they're both very similar bands. So when they sort of stole from each other's audience a bit.
Perhaps just because they were having trouble shifting the tickets. You'll see stuff like Show Film First, which is basically a seat filler agency, and they were giving away Elvana tickets a couple of weeks back. And there was a few other people doing that as well. So it's always interesting. You think, is it too big a venue for them, perhaps?
Yeah, they've definitely sold out the Barretts before. It wasn't their first time playing. So it was very much, I think, Punk Rock Factory and Elvan at the same weekend stole from each other's audience a bit. It was still plenty full. There was still crowd surfing to be had. I was talking to security beforehand, and they were asking, do you think there'll be a lot of crowd surfers here? And I was like, no, this is Elvana. And then the second they went into Smells Like Teen Spirit, there were kids, literal children, getting thrown over the barrier, so they weren't really prepared for that. So, yeah, I don't think it sold out, but it was still plenty full as well. And also a big shout out to the Barrowland staff for looking after my missus, who was there in her crutches after she fell walking the dog. They're the nicest venue staff, I think, in Scotland. Even took her to what they described as the secret toilet, because the toilets in the Barrowlands are obviously on the middle floor that you can't get to in crutches or a wheelchair. And I don't know where it was. She's been sworn to secrecy and can't tell me.
I was just about to say where it was, but I won't then.
I know where it is.
Yeah. If you know where the toilets are in the Barrowlands, please email in to podcast@isthismusic.com, where everyone can now email in listeners. Any other secret spots in the Barrowlands. Also, last night I was at SWG3 for Counterparts for a very heavy night, and my God, was it loud. Blew the roof off the place, and I think it's very acceptable to just need a night of extreme metal and hardcore music just to get all that anger out. Congratulations to the guy at the back of the room who spent all night winching his new girlfriend as well, rather than watching the band. I realised everyone was watching off, but he did not see a single band on that stage. So congratulations to you if you were at Counterparts. You spent all night winching.
Please write in.
Worth the ticket admission if it was yourself. So, Stuart, you've been up to anything this month?
Absolutely nothing. I've got to be honest with you. I've still got the same flu cold thing as I did when we recorded the last podcast. You might recall me slouched in the corner there. Things haven't changed that much. There wasn't a great deal I was desperate to go see anyway, so that's not quite so bad. I just need to get well enough to pick up a couple of gigs towards the end of the month. So yeah, the year so far, I think we mentioned them last time. It was Martin John Henry up at Manic Pop Thrill's house in Cooper doing that secret gig to like 15 people, and the Just Jones, Hector Collectors, and Carol J. Easton gig as well, which was actually where I actually picked the cold up. I think start to feel a bit kind of iffy at that point. So
not for me, surely. I was talking to you that night.
Well, if you don't have it, then I guess you didn't either. But it came from somewhere.
Not guilty.
So I've been confined to barracks and largely listening to recorded music rather than going out and about. So yeah, that was short and sweet.
Yeah, good. I'm a big fan of Carla. I'm trying to remember the band she used to be in back in the day. Retro
Futuristic Champions.
Futuristic Champions, that was it. Yes, you used to record in the studio that I worked in back in my previous life. Big shout out to Le Chunky Towers. It's recorded studio in Glasgow as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, still is, I believe. It's very well thought of.
The late Lamented 13th Note, we had them, and I can't remember who they were with now, but we had a solid run of about 2 years of shows. A guy called Chris Boyd was putting on a show every month, and I think he got burned out eventually, unfortunately. As you do tend to be if you're a gig promoter, unless you're actually making a living off it. Putting on gigs is ain't easy, as you know.
Yeah, it's great to see that she's still doing it.
Absolutely, yeah. And she's got her new rock direction as well.
Sorry?
a new rock direction. She just wanted to play guitar, basically. She didn't really play guitar at all. And at that gig, I think it was maybe the first time she was actually playing guitar. Gus might confirm that.
Yeah.
And the new album seems to be largely based around guitar as well.
Yeah, well, that was. I think that was the second outing she played. She supported somebody, I can't remember who now. Back in December, which I think she said was the first time. Yeah, I did review that gig. I can't remember who the headliner was now. Anyway.
Yeah, brilliant. So, Gus, what have you been up to? Anything this week? I know you've been listening to a lot of stuff. Have you been out and about?
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose thinking about January, then I think yes, since the last podcast. So yeah, for the listeners, they'll kind of probably know my musical predilections from some of my opinions in the last. In episode 1, I do write as Betty Mayonnaise. The Betty Mayonnaise origin story was also covered, so I won't go into that again. I think I had a couple of Celtic Connections gigs. Hen House at the Tramway, which had its moments, possibly for me the wrong venue, but a very interesting combo of very talented people, including actually one Carla J. Easton as well, who actually did some rapping that night. That's not Christmas rapping, actual rapping. So yeah, new territory and kind of people exploring outside of their own comfort zones, and well worth checking out the album. Did get quite a lot of Creative Scotland funding as well to help them do that, and I hope that they have further plans to do more. Probably the gig that stood out for me most, I guess, would have been the night after that, which would have been the very end of January, a band called the Dream Syndicate, playing at the art school. Veteran US West Coast so-called Paisley rockers who kind of, I suppose, might have been REM if they'd been a wee bit more commercial, but they're of that vintage. So they really know their shit in terms of what you would call classic Americana, with a lace of very dark vibes as well. And to hear them play on what I would say is an amazing sound system these days at the art school, that's that bit that didn't burn down twice, just for the listeners' information. I may have said that last time. I apologise for repeating myself. But yeah, that bit of the art school, that kind of modern bit, is now has probably one of the best sound systems, and the sound guys had confirmed they'd been doing a lot of work on it. So yeah, to hear that sound through these speakers was just incredible, and they drew a pretty reasonable crowd. Probably, I don't know what the cap is there, maybe 450. I'm not sure, so probably 350, let's say. So for guys that yeah. Anyway, no, I'll move on in terms of other stuff. Yeah, the other rather strange, I'm going to say strange, slight odd gig that I went to was at the Doublet. They don't do techno raves at the Doublet very often, but this kind of was something like that. So for those who maybe don't know, the Doublet is a small traditional pub. It's been there ever since I can remember, in Park Street in the West End. Upstairs they do have a small venue. It's really not much more than a wee bar. I think the capacity is 40 or possibly 50. So this was promoted by Andrew, aka Huntley and Palmer's, who's a long-standing club promoter in Glasgow. Tony Morris is about 75. He kind of reminds me of something like a combination of Ivor Cutler and Tony Bennett, but he kind of croons over in a rather kind of no. Look, I'm going to. I could ramble on about this. I think it would be. It's a very interesting record called. Oh God, I'm going to remember the name of it. I'm going to forget the name of it now. I think it's called actually something like Wake Up Baby. That's right. Yeah, it's reviewed on the website. And Isa Gordon provided some incredible guitar. She's got a traditional music background, but also some electronica. The other gig which I didn't get to, which unfortunately was a massive clash because of Celtic Connections, this happens, was the Pictish Trail gig at St. Luke's. So she was on first, and I've heard it on good authority that was a storming gig. I'm really pissed off that these two dates clashed. So yeah, over to you guys.
Sounds brilliant. Busier than I thought you would have been, because I think we're all sort of dying from this cold and flu that's going about. I'm certainly still a bit bunged up from it and having to go with my face buried in my hoodie anywhere I go just so I try not to spread it. But busy month so far. Paul, you been up to anything this month apart from where I've already seen you?
I think it's mainly just where I've already mentioned, just to kind of go off the back of what you said before. The Punk Rock Factory gig, what a gig! They were just absolutely tremendous. One of the most fun gigs that I've been at in a long time, and it was just exactly that. It was just fun. Just seeing 4 grown men on stage and a pretty much sold out Barrowlands singing "Shiny" from Moana. And just the daft Disney songs and stuff was just phenomenal. And just so when they kicked in, I just can't wait to be king from the Lion King. You could just almost sense the emotion in the room. It was great. It was just such a good gig, and it's almost brings back all that kind of childhood stuff for people. And I've got a 4-year-old, and since that gig and since I've been listening to Punk Rock Factory the past week, whenever we get in the car now, she asks for Daddy's pop punk Disney songs. So it's literally been Punk Rock Factory in the car non-stop, and she is addicted to them as well, which is great.
You are raising her right.
She's loving it.
You are raising her right.
Yeah, and I know you were saying last time they played the Academy, it was an all-ages show, so I'm hoping when they come back again, which they said they were coming back soon, I'm hoping we get an all-ages show again, because I'd love to take her along to see them, because I think that would be great for a first gig for her.
The first time I saw them live, it was at the Academy, and it was all ages, so you had the old school punks with the big mohawks and everything, with their 2 or 3 year old kids in their hands with the big ear defenders on, as baby's first punk rock show, because they would all know that, they seem tuned to SpongeBob SquarePants and Bluey and everything like that, and it's just kind of, you have a little tear in your eye because you're like, this is how, if I had kids, how I'd raise them. Unfortunately, dogs aren't allowed into venues still, so I can't take my furry child into venues, which is something I'll be campaigning for.
Yeah. I must admit as well, though, mentioning Bluey there, and I did mention this to you on the night when I seen the set list, I was gutted that they didn't do the Bluey theme tune when they did the Barras the other night, because I was really looking forward to that.
It's that one I look forward to as well. I was a massive Bluey fan as well. One of the best moments in television to be created. It's up there with Band of Brothers, as far as I'm concerned. The same cinematic excellence.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I mean, I find myself watching the new episodes when the wee one's gone to bed. It's great. It's just such a good show. So that's kind of the main show that I've been at. Music wise, really into a band called Leisure Hour. Their album came out maybe a week or 2 ago, I think it was. Their second album dropped. It is phenomenal. So sort of Midwest emo from Indiana. If you've not heard them, Craig, it's probably right up your street.
Leisure Hour.
Yeah, Leisure Hour. I think I put the link over to you the other day, but I can't remember. The album's called ... and To Think. And it's just your typical Midwest emo angsty type stuff, but it's phenomenal. The album front to back is just superb.
Does sound like something I'd be into.
It's exactly something that you'd be down for, yeah.
Midwest emo has to make a comeback right now.
It never went out fashion.
Where is really left, there's not any modern-ish bands.
Yeah,
with that
Leisure are well worth a listen. It's a good album to stick on. So recently I've been listening between that, Punk Rock Factory, and podcasts, which is kind of what I just listen to on a daily basis, just a mix of stuff. So it'll jump from Leisure Hour to a murder podcast and then back to Punk Rock Factory. So always a good mix of stuff.
As well, a big sort of bonus at Punk Rock Factory was seeing Sean from Sapnin podcast. Sapnin doing his DJ thing, which was good. And it was also curious to see that, or see someone DJing that probably sold more albums than the band he was DJing from The Blackout.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, he's probably more. Well, yeah, he's more famous than Punk Rock Factory, where when The Blackout were at kind of full swing.
Yeah, I just saw recently he was on the cruise performing with the Used.
Yeah, so
the Emo's Not Dead cruise.
Yeah, they do the END cruise every year. I'm big into Sapling podcast. I've been without bigging up other podcasts too much, being a Patreon on there since day one, phenomenal podcast. And yeah, so they're actually sponsored by END now. They're in like a partnership with them, which is why they've been doing the cruise the past few years. But no, Sean's great. Like the Blackout were a phenomenal band. And the podcast that him and Morgan have got going, it's just like, I've not missed an episode since it started, probably 350, 360 odd episodes ago, and they're phenomenal every week. Some good listening there as well.
I don't think it's bad to big them up on different podcasts and whatnot, because they're just fine, but certainly not competitive. No, he's a good friend of ours as far as we're concerned. And he done phenomenal at the Punk Rock Factory show.
He did. It was a good mix as well. He really knows, obviously, with his background, he knows how to amp up a crowd. And especially with he didn't play Disney songs and stuff, because Punk Rock Factory's going to do that. He was playing probably the daily playlist of the whole crowd that were there. And then obviously Punk Rock Factory took over the almost cheesy side of it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good gig when you've got inflatable beach toys in the crowd, and then you have a huge game of Connect 4.
That was brilliant.
On stage as well.
Yeah.
It's just fun. It's barely a music gig. It's just good fun.
It's just a good laugh, and I can imagine your Elvana the night after is probably of a similar vein, as you were saying. So.
Oh, it was absolutely astounding. As usual, Kelvis, as he's known, was in the crowd surfing, jumping about. I was fortunate enough to kind of have the run of the place as well, so I was there taking photos for him as well, running in and out. The big, massive Nirvana balloons going around.
Nice.
As well at the end of the show. It was just good. One thing they should have had was confetti. I don't know why either band didn't have confetti cannons. They're not that expensive, and they're good fun, the gigs as well. More confetti.
Yeah. Well, obviously, we know that. I think from the stats from the first podcast, I'm pretty sure that Elvana and Punk Rock Factory listened to that one. So of course they'll listen to this one as well. So get confetti you next to her.
Absolutely, confetti cannons. They don't cost that much to hire.
And if not, can you go to Tesco's and get some of the wee tubes and set them off himself?
I've got one in my kitchen drawer. It's fine.
Confetti cannons aren't very popular. No, because the amount of cleaning up that's got to be done. Like I think that actually some people ban confetti outside churches and that because the stuff's not biodegradable. That's why you throw rice instead of it. Which attracts pigeons, but you get the idea. What is sweeping up to do in a venue, though?
But
you can imagine that sticking to the beer on the floor.
But that's fine. There's sweeping to do. Going back to All Time Low, when they had their streamers rather than the confetti, I got covered in them, and it took a good 20 minutes to get them off me, because it was like a fishing net had just fallen on me and barns were all stuck to me and everything. But it's still fun, especially when you've got that impending sense of doom that you can't actually wriggle yourself free from this paper streamer.
From everything.
It just adds another emotion to an already emotional night, I think. So getting on to the topic then, undiscovered music. We had a bit of a debate as to what this actually means. It was going to be unsigned music, but in 2026, everyone's either signed to a small label or create their own label, or you have big bands, Hawthorne Heights are one, who are technically unsigned, but wouldn't really fit the bill here. So we moved to undiscovered music that we think the listeners might not already know. So we'll go round. I think it'd be cool if we all do sort of one and then move round, so we get a good mix of genres, because we're all into different genres. I'll go first with my first one, and this is a band that kind of shunned me, because I tried to get in touch with them to do something for the magazine and they left me on red. But I'm still sort of going to talk about them, so I'm not that upset about it. Band from, I think it's up in Dundee, called Forever Autumn. Hopefully they're still doing their thing. Pop punk, very studio orientated. They're one of these new bands who, for whatever reason, don't have a bass player, which I've gone on about for years now. All these bands think they don't need a bassist. They're happy for a laptop to do the work for them. But very new wave pop punk, very energetic. Not done a lot of live gigs recently, but putting out some really good stuff. Like I said, I did try and get in touch with them through TikTok when I first discovered them, but they must have thought I was trying to scam them out of something and just never replied. So hopefully if they hear this, they'll get back in touch. We do want to talk to you and maybe let more people know about you, and I really hope that they get more live gigs going forward. So that's Forever Autumn up in Dundee, some really good Scottish pop punk. hopefully coming to the forefront.
Yeah, I'm going to pipe in just there. Sorry, when you mentioned the name, it's like, I know that name, and I've just literally loaded my phone. The one that I've discovered through TikTok as well, and they're a brilliant wee band. The post wee clips here and there, but they're, as you say, it's just absolute banging pop punk tunes.
Yeah, so you've heard them as well?
Yeah. So I found them on TikTok maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and been keeping an eye on everything that they post and that. Yeah, just a really good band, which with just catchy. It's almost pop punk by numbers at times, but that's not a bad thing. Especially, I mean, obviously, it's probably speaking for me and you, Craig. That's not a bad thing. 90% of our catalogue of listening is probably pop punk by numbers. So,
yeah, we've definitely been listening to the same stuff since the 90s.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff sounds identical, but that's what we like, and it does change slightly through the times. But it's good to have your comfort music, which they definitely are. Definitely for fans of the likes of Neck Deep, Newfound Glory, stuff like that, into that more energetic side of things, the story so far type music. Definitely. Does anyone have any bands they want to jump in first? Connor?
I can't remember how I discovered this band, but I love them. They're called Strawberry Lace. I don't know if anyone's heard of them. I don't have a clue where they're from. I told you about them the other day, Craig. I don't know if that's where you heard them, but I don't have a clue. Don't have a clue where they're from. But they're kind of, imagine a rock band, but the guitars are really twiddly, catchy, indie notes. If that makes any sense whatsoever. They're great though. I just googled them there. Honestly, have a listen. You listen to a song called what's it called? Ever Be. You know exactly what I mean. But I did just Google them, and that song came out in 2018, so they're obviously not that new. But they're new to me.
New to Connor, and potentially still undiscovered as well, so it still fits. A slow burner on the scene, perhaps. Hopefully they're still together.
Oh, they're still together. They're playing Dundee Church, I think it is, on the 28th with that band High Fade.
Nice. High Fade I've heard of as well.
Yeah, I don't know what they sound like. I've heard of them though.
Yeah. Awesome.
Strawberry Lace are fantastic, so check them out.
Excellent. Anyone else? Adam, you got any?
Yeah. I saw this band. It was a couple of weeks ago, actually. They're called Rat Eat Rat.
Nice.
It was just like a totally random gig at Audio Lounge in Merry Hill, if anyone's familiar. And they sound like sound a bit like Fugazi. It's kind of like, I don't know. To me, the bass lines and stuff really reminded me of them. But they're just this 3-piece. I'm not sure. I think they're from Glasgow, but they're amazing. And they've got a gig. You're speaking about La Chunky Studio. They've got a gig there this weekend, actually. So
nice.
I'll probably head over there. They're supporting this Irish artist. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to butcher their name. Svelod Plotkin.
Good effort. Very good effort.
So if that's I'll probably be heading over there this weekend. But
yeah, brilliant. It's good to see LeChunky are still doing little gigs as well. They sort of started when I was there, and I worked in like the 2000s. And if listeners don't know where they're based in the Hidden Lane over in Finniston. So that's also where the likes of Bell and Sebastian have their recording studio, and there's a lot of sort of icons of Scottish music pass through there. A very creative little hub, and they started doing a lot of gigs there as well. So it's good to see they're still doing it, and it's definitely worth checking out the talent that goes through LeChunky. Also, you had me at Fugazi. Anyone who can be compared to Fugazi is definitely worth a listen. I think Stuart would agree with me.
Oh, absolutely.
There has been one of the old school punk / hardcore fans. Do you have anyone, Stuart?
Pop punk, I think that's what we're doing, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's sort of anything, really.
I made a list of half a dozen bands, and of course, I'll try to hone it down a wee bit. But I think the fact that we're now on to Undiscovered rather than Unsigned make things a bit easier. Back on Tiger Drive, though, who are from Aberdeen, they got a single with Frog Spawn. It's kind of alt emo-ish, fast-paced, shouty, with a bit of mathy guitar on it. So it's probably closer to the stuff that we've been talking about than anything else we've come across recently. And the other one I was going to mention was Julia's Bureau, who I think not playing again. Oh, they're not playing at all. They've actually just launched their EP last week, I think, perhaps. Just missed out on that. They're a nice, not exactly Teenage Fan Club, they're sort of quite strummy. The Glasgow bunch, a single called Astronaut. It's definitely got a sort of postcardy feel to it, I think. It's quite sort of chilled with unusual rising and falling song structures. So they're worth looking at as well. I could go on. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. I made a list.
Oh, yeah, well, that's why we're here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely why we're here. We'll be going around everyone. It's not just sort of the genres that we've started on, which brings us to Gus, because as eclectic as his taste in music is, I'm not sure he's the biggest post-modern emo fan, so maybe we'll get a little change in direction.
Yes, so I mean, a couple of ones I was going to mention. There's a Glasgow band called Awful Eyes, who are, let me think. I reviewed their single at the end of last year. I think it actually came out maybe in September, October last year. Yeah, called Post Punk Revival. It's also quite an angry. I wouldn't call it pop punk, but it's certainly got an element of anger there, and a certain amount of what I refer to, I think, as dripping sarcasm. I think, I would have to say, and maybe this is sort of, I just feel I have to say this. We haven't really covered female artists enough in this podcast, enough, and it's not like. Yes, absolutely. We did, but that was kind of the.
She loves to know she's the token female.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, she'll kick your balls for that. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just thinking. I mean, I'm just conscious of the fact that quite a number of the what you call the up and coming bands in Glasgow these days are either all female or female fronted, and there are a number of others I could mention. So Awful Eyes kind of fall into that. It's not a genre or a category or something. It's just I'm aware of the fact there's an awful lot more female representation, and most of the gigs that I've been to see, shall we say, the more minor ones, if the headliners are, for example, are all male, then the lineup is balanced in some other way by the support bands, and that would also go even for a more mainstream indie billing like the Just Jones, for example. So that I mean, I'm sorry to say that kind of maybe changed the subject onto other stuff. You did ask what was up and coming. I would also reference, I suppose, another Glasgow-based band. I think they are called DOS. Now, DOS have been around for a wee while. Again, they're pretty shouty, pretty punky, I suppose you would say. They're playing the art school. I think it's April. So again, I've got quite high hopes of that. It is pretty shouty. Another band in that genre, I suppose you would say, would be Soapbox, who I think we have maybe mentioned before last time. I'm not quite sure what their plans are for this year, but they definitely can cause a ruction if they are so minded to do so. And lastly, I would just reference another female act. She plays drums with crumbs. Sorry. Oh, no, I'm going to lose my memory here. She plays drums with no, I've lost me. Okay, I'll reference two more, who again are both have got a track record and are to an extent signed. Lemon Drink have been around for a while. They have reinvented themselves with a slightly different lineup. They are back making records and doing gigs, and also Brontes, who I think are now ensconced with Last Night from Glasgow Records, who are again part of, you mentioned the Hidden Lane, just their World HQ is based there, and again they've got a very interesting single out, and obviously with the name very topical as well. So yeah, and again all girls in that instance. So there we go. That I've managed to up the female representation in the podcast by almost 50%, and I'll shut up now. Okay.
We got Gus, the drummer out of Carousel. I think you were just stretching.
Oh no, I'm thinking about Apsy. Oh God, that's terrible. They'll kill me. Brenda. Yes, yeah, the drummer from Brenda. Yes. Brenda themselves are an excellent act. Again, you could say they were up and coming. You could say they were unsigned. But yeah, Apsy's record, which is called Deep Breath. Anyway, it's more of an electronica record. Actually, I would have said. But again. There's a slight what's the word? Not quite clarifies exactly whether she's going under that name or a pseudonym, because I think I put both the names on there, and it was there we go. Yeah, it's called Not Your Boyfriend, and it also seems to be Heat Holders, but I believe Heat Holders, there are other bands called Heat Holders, so there may be a bit of a copyright issue there. But anyway, absolutely, if you can clarify that in an email to the podcast, that would be brilliant. Thank you.
I've got one great artist that's worth checking out. It's a girl that she actually works in a coffee shop I go to most days because the coffee's fantastic. The band's name's Goodnight Louisa.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's heard of her.
I think so, yeah.
Johnny from Churches used to drum for her. I don't know if he still does because he lives in America, but he used to. She's good though. She's like a kind of folky singer-songwriter. Just a beautiful voice. Definitely worth listening to.
I think because this music has covered that act in some shape or form. I can't remember, maybe not me, but
a couple of live reviews, I think. Yeah, Louisa McCraw.
Yeah, she's great. I've not seen her live yet, but she's good.
What was that, Stuart?
Louisa McCraw, her name is. I'm just Googling there.
Yeah.
Or checking out the website to be exact.
Yeah, no, I'm
all the
pretty
information
sure.
you could possibly need on.
Yeah, I don't think it was me, but yeah, I think.
But I played her on a radio show 3 years ago, so she's been around a wee while. 4 years ago, good lord.
So, just sort of sticking with the whole female representation, that brings me to another band I had noted down that I only discovered a few days ago, is Talking About Ray, hailing from Falkirk, I believe. Indie band, which you would kind of have to force me in the room to listen to, but really refreshing, more on the rockier side of indie, female fronted as well. This could be a whole different podcast, I think, sort of giving the women of Scotland the voice they deserve, keeping the guys out of it, but definitely worth a listen. Talking About Ray, coming from Falkirk, quite new, I think, but they have been featured on a few playlists that have been getting pushed around the underground, so definitely check them out as well.
What were the notes from the other contributors?
Oh yeah, so I've got a few from Jenna and Glenn, who can't be with us tonight. We'll start with Jenna first of all, who's given us a couple of pop numbers. It's Kerr Gibson and Greg Pearson as well. Both very similar, of the sort of same vein. I would say Greg is a bit more edgy than Keir. I've checked them both out. Where Keir Gibson's very mainstream pop, your sort of Lewis Capaldi sort of route as well, where Greg's got a slightly edgier rocky feel to him. Both definitely good for what they do. I think you would have to be into that sort of music for them to get into them, but definitely worth it if you are looking for something a bit poppier as well. Glenn from Gigs with Glenn, as well as this music, has given me a list longer than Marm of people he would recommend. Two bands that he goes on about non-stop, which I knew he would ask us to talk about anyway: Fog Bandits and 198, two heavier rock sort of bands for fans of like the Foo Fighters and whatnot.
Fog Bandits I've certainly heard of, not sure about the other one.
Yeah, Fog Bandits are definitely making a big sort of name for themselves. The 198 is pushing very hard as well, and if I know one thing about Glenn is he knows good music as well. I did listen to the 198 very Foo Fighters, but if they were heavy, which there was a time when you didn't think that you could say if the Foo Fighters were heavy, because they used to be a lot, I was going to use the word better than they are nowadays, but it's definitely a heavier, edgier sort of Foo Fighters feel to them. Also Strained, which is spelled like the old school band Stained, a sort of modern rock band, and I'm going to butcher this as well, Sankaris, sort of 70s Led Zeppelin type vibes to them as well, and San Jose, who are for fans of post-punk, sort of crazy, wild music. I don't know if anyone's heard of any of those bands.
I've heard of San Jose. I've never been able to see them, but...
Yeah, I've not had a chance to listen to them. That's just a big recommendation for Glenn as well. Glenn spends every day talking to bands, and if they're on his list, you know they're definitely worth.
I must admit, and I'm possibly about to become Glenn's best pal, and I've never actually met him in my life yet. But Strayed and 198 were on my list as well.
There you go. So tell us about them, because
I came across them, yeah. So I went through, so what we kind of chatted about beforehand, I just went through your Spotify playlists, and somebody shared a playlist of Glasgow bands, and I also found one on Spotify of just Unsigned 2026. It's kind of where I got most of mine from, because I always find it's difficult, rather than spending hours and hours and hours trawling through Facebook trying to find band names, or trawling through TikTok. If someone chucks their Spotify playlist, it's easy. But I must admit, like Strayed, I've took wee notes of a wee notepad set up, nice and professional. So for Strayed, I've got sort of like the very almost like indie rocky with just a nice, good, catchy edge to them. Couple of tracks I picked out were like Meaningless and Thinking About You, both just really good. Thinking About You has a very Arctic Monkeys feel to it at the start.
Nice, yeah.
Just the kind of guitar lines and stuff just struck me as almost like that kind of vibe, but with the kind of Scottish vocals. But just really catchy tunes. 198, yeah, the 198 are one that kind of just grabbed me when I first heard the songs. It's like that's just good. And I love it when a band does that. And I say, like, when you were talking about Feather Autumn, you found them. I find a lot of bands these days do sit and flicking through TikTok at nights, as I say, with having a wee one. Anytime you get to yourself, sometimes it's nice to just sit and chill.
Yeah.
I'll sit and flick through TikTok, and the amount of bands I've just got a Spotify playlist now, which is just, it's called some absolutely random name, because mine are all just called absolute nonsense. But one of them I know is just like, that's any new bands that I find get added to that playlist. So then if I want to go back and listen to any new ones that I've come across, they're on that playlist.
Yeah.
But you're like, it's just such a good avenue for finding new bands and stuff. But I came across a few in there, but not like these ones I say I found on the Spotify playlist that were kind of curated. But not like 198 and Strayed proper stood out for me, just as good local bands as well. It's always good to kind of support local. But yeah, it's just nice to know that I think the youngsters are younger than me anyway. Nice to know that the youth are still doing good, Craig. They're still churning out good tunes.
I certainly wouldn't know, but I was going to say it's how we kind of discover music now through things like TikTok. I'm going to have to give our youngest contributor, Adam, a bit of a history lesson here. There used to be this thing, Adam, years ago called MySpace. It was a wonderful, mythical place where you could just discover bands by clicking through your top 8 friends and their top 8 friends and their top 8 friends, and you would discover a band like Pierce the Veil. And nowadays you just get someone can form a band and put it on TikTok, and suddenly you've got fans all over the world. And it's absolutely amazing, like, to be able to discover bands like that. There's one who isn't for this podcast because they are now discovered, and there's a bit of a question as to whether or not they're actually industry plants as well. But when I first discovered them via TikTok, I was like,
I think I know exactly where you're going with this.
Good potential. Do you know the Paradox? Is that who you're thinking?
Oh no, I was thinking President. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's where you were going, President.
But no. President. That would be a different discussion. I don't think they are. I think they're just friends who decided to form a band and go a bit different. But the Paradox, 1 minute they were just posting tunes on TikTok, pop punk songs, and they were being quite funny with it as well. They're all people of colour, and they were comparing themselves to Blink-182, so their drummer would call himself Darker Barker, or Travis Darker, that was it. And then out of nowhere, suddenly they've got Travis Barker producing their single and playing with them, and they're on Warped Tour and everything. So they are very much discovered. Very quick rise to fame, so there is questions as to whether they were actually recording these things in a living room without any management or record companies behind them. But it is just how you discover music nowadays, which is fantastic. You had to kind of dig it out previously, but things like TikTok are just...
It's just brilliant, and obviously without going down too much of a rabbit hole with MySpace, on MySpace you could set your profile song. So when someone loaded your page, the song that you picked played, which was great. I mean, Facebook, bring it in, come on.
Can I just say, I actually discovered my old band Yashin on MySpace.
That's insane.
There we go.
And then you were in them.
And then you joined them.
I made a MySpace and I got their top 8 friends.
Crazy. I think that's also how I discovered Yashin. Yes. Another way, obviously, of discovering music is through support bands as well, and that brings me on to my next sort of pick, and they're not going to be undiscovered for long. I don't think we're right on the cusp of where they wouldn't be suitable for this podcast, because they are pretty discovered, and that's Happy Days. Hailing from Edinburgh, they're getting a lot of good support. So we're supporting Trash Boat. Also saw them previously supporting Dangerous Summer,
nice.
I think, off the top of my head, and there was...
I think I saw them years ago supporting Cute Is What We Aim For, possibly, in the Classic Grand. I think it was them.
Yeah, they're still playing small venues, so they're still sort of on the cusp of things. Last time I saw them weren't as good as they have been previously. I think they were down a member. So their bassist was playing guitar and there was no one on bass. I think there was a laptop filling in on bass duties. That's to me getting on a rant again about people thinking a bass player can be replaced with a laptop, but it's just the world we live in.
Am I talking rubbish, or did Happy Days used to be called something else?
Oh, very likely they did, but I have no idea.
Possibly.
They are sort of this newer emo/pop punk, more aggressive sort of style. Well, lots of backing tracks and whatnot to thicken up the sound, but definitely worth listening to. Both recorded and live. They're good when the whole band's there. They were definitely missing something last time I saw them, with a lack of one member. There wasn't as much motion on the stage, which they were a really animated band the first couple of times I saw them. Once they get an album together and really push that, what they need is good management and a good publicist, I think, to get them out into the mainstream. So this is probably the last time they'll be mentioned on an Undiscovered podcast, and we'll be talking about them in other ones where they're playing at a lot bigger rooms, because they're still stuck in sort of smaller rooms right now.
Another one I had was Blair Sparrow, who's a Canadian acoustic kind of singer-songwriter, again, that I came across on this Unsigned 2026 playlist. Kind of best way to describe it, almost think of like a mix between Newton Faulkner and Passenger, but a bit happier.
All right, you'd want that.
Yeah, just almost just like upbeat acoustic type stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the tracks that kind of stood out for me was a track called Cat Lady, which is almost just about your generic cat lady. One of the sort of lyrics that stood out was she buys the food before she feeds herself. And it's just like almost just a happy acoustic type stuff. It's well worth a listen. And I must admit, like these playlists that I found were class, because it's just good to just kind of delve into all these acts you would never have found. Going back to the kind of female fronted side of it as well, an act called Taya Fanara.
All right, I've heard of them.
Yeah, so not sure at what level they're at. I followed them the other day on Instagram, and they followed me back within like a couple hours. So they're obviously not that famous yet that they can't follow people back yet. So jump on this train while you can. But again, like sort of female fronted. But this is again, like I think I said before, like when a song grabs me, it grabs me, right? They've got a song called Love Like This, and the guitar at the start, it's just a stabby guitar line. And that just takes me over. This stabby guitar line kicked in, and I just went, "Oh shit, that's nice!" Like it's just that was just really good, and it's just a stabby guitar line. Again, very pop punk by numbers-esque at times, but as I say, there's nothing wrong with that, and it's just catchy, and just the stabby guitar just makes it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's definitely one to check out. I'm going to check out more of our stuff as well.
Yeah, what were
definitely one to give. Taya Fanara, so TAYAFANARA.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So well worth a listen.
Yeah, do you know where they're from at all?
Not off the top of my head, but I will find out with the magic of the internet.
Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking there as well, a shout out to completely random guy on Reddit who's been pushing out unsigned Scottish playlists as well. He came onto our subreddit and suggested, this is how I discovered Talking About Ray, some Spotify playlists that he'd made up as well. So it's good to see that there's still complete randoms with no skin in the game wanting to push unsigned bands like that. And I've noticed they've been doing quite a lot of work on the internet pushing the playlist that he's been making up. So it's definitely good to see people champion undiscovered music like that as well. People do still care. Which is
it's nice to see. Yeah, and it's nice to see that people with a passion for it. As I said, I saw the guy on Reddit as well, and it's good to see folk with a passion for just getting your artist out there. It's all well and good listening to your artists who get 10 million plays a month or something every day, but it's also nice to just, when you find a small artist who is good, to almost just share it about and stick with it. Like, half of my pals, and you guys will all know, like, some of my mates get sick to death of me sharing links in group chats and stuff. And like, listen to this, but I'll probably never listen to it. But I still like to try and push it on them, just in the case that they might actually give it a listen at some point.
Well, I think that's why we're all doing this, isn't it? It's okay. We're not getting paid for it, certainly, and admittedly we are getting the odd gig freebie, etc. But really, it's just because we're music geeks that just want to get people to like the stuff that we like. Essentially, that's what I do anyway. You know, you're thinking, you've got to hear this, and why are this band not number one? Which is many previous discussions, I think.
I totally agree with that, Stuart, and that's why I've been involved for as long as I have been, and your enthusiasm enthused me, as it were, and over many years. And I think if you don't have that enthusiasm and also that I suppose curiosity, then you may as well just give up in terms of the stuff, in terms of why we're here, and what we do as a hobby, basically, on thisismusic.com. Otherwise, it's not really.
Yeah, that's right. I mean.
Yeah, as I checked Taya Fanara there, so she's from Ontario, so another Canadian. So that's Blair Sparrow and Taya Fanara. So I'm apparently representing Canada tonight. So
after them beating us in the curling,
did they just not screw the Scots over in the curling? Earlier. No, sorry, so I missed that. Yeah, I'm not a massive curling fan, but the Winter Olympics is quite infectious when you start watching it.
I was going to say we could talk about the controversy at the curling, but that's a different podcast again.
Yes, I know. Yeah,
I did get more into the curling when I saw the possibility of people throwing hands. I didn't think it was that kind of sport. People were definitely close to throwing hands on the ice, and I was I can definitely get into this now if there's blood.
And of course, all these curling stones come from
Craig.
Craig, yes. Anyway, that's a different podcast.
Completely I'll have to rename it.
Yeah. So what? So listeners, look out for next week for Is This Olympics, which is going to be launching soon.
Ready for the fight. Is this curling? Blood on the ice. That's what I'm watching. So a quick update on the Happy Days thing. They did used to have a name. Connors has found it out. They used to be called Woes. So they're probably sticking with Happy Days now, but definitely check them out. There's one that I wanted to throw out. It used to be big and now has gone back to being undiscovered, I think, but I rediscovered them on TikTok. They're having a bit of resurgence, and I think with this genre, every band is undiscovered because it's a genre people hate with a passion, which I think is a injustice, and that's ska punk, and that's Millington, who used to be really kings of the scene. But no one likes ska punk apart from me and the 20 other people I see at ska punk gigs. But
me, you, and the 19 others then.
Pretty much. I love a bit of brass with my punk, and they're really having a big push on the likes of social media and TikTok when it comes to getting back in the scene, and I'm loving seeing them back again.
I mean, I'm sure you guys are aware. I mean, there's some really decent ska. Well, I guess not necessarily ska revivals, but ska with brass bands on the Scottish scene as well. So if we've been doing it for decades, I could name a few. Obviously, Esperanza would be one of them. And always a good night.
Yeah,
always
Esperanza were the first ever band I took photos of, and now I'm quite good off it.
Wow.
They opened up for another ska punk band, the Hostiles, who I've got a big love in my heart for. Back in the day, I used to play a lot with the Hostiles with my band, and they're still going. They played with Esperanza and Kill Lincoln and someone else who I can't remember off the top of my head. The classic Grand,
and of course it was Esperanza who were playing in the Clutha with the helicopter. Well, we don't not necessarily want to talk about that, but yes, it was them. They were there that night, 2012, I'm thinking. Anyway, so Craig, what is your big rant then?
So
we've been waiting for this.
Let's get back to TikTok. So obviously TikTok is such a big vehicle for bands to get discovered, and artists as well. I wouldn't use the word band for this particular artist, and it's not to take away from the quality of music, it's just the way people go about getting their name out there. You've got to remember, a lot of the time we lose sight of it's supposed to be about the music. It might be a bit old school about that. So there's one guy, and his music is at the very lowest point fine. It's actually quite good to listen to, and I'll totally give him that. It's just every time his videos come up, I want to throw my phone into the Clyde. Honestly, God. So his name's Archie, and Archie, I'm sorry, but I just need to say enough. So he comes on with these videos on TikTok where he's got he's very Benson Boone, that kind of pop. So kind of quite dynamic pop. He's got the whole sort of Americanized accent going on, which I can forgive because even Scottish people can put on a fake Scottish accent. Sorry, Paul, talking about one of your favourite bands.
Listen, you pipe down. I know exactly who you're gunning for here.
So do the listeners, but I'm not going to start fights. But his music is absolutely fine. But he has these videos where he's doing his wee dance outside SWG3 and whatnot, and the caption comes up, or the text on the screen comes up saying, "I'm going to be Scotland's first ever pop star."
I know who you mean. I know who you mean.
Yes, and it's probably rage bait because that's an internet thing as well. Apparently, I'm too old to understand that.
You've been baited.
And so is every man, woman and child who sees these videos, because the comments are just full with a list of Lewis Capaldi, Lulu, everyone who has been a Scottish pop artist. And he'll release another video saying, no, when I say pop artist, I mean in capital letters, pop artist, like this. And then he plays the same 15-second snippet of the same song, which is good. It's incredibly catchy. It's like musical heroin. Like, it's in my head right now. Again, cannot slight the guy's music, but the guy going about it that way, I will never go and see him live just because I'll go there angry. And I like angry music, but he elicits the same response out of me as the likes of Rage Against the Machine, where it's all about injustice. They sing about injustice, and he has brought an injustice about just by saying that he's going to be the first Scottish pop artist. No, you're not, and it doesn't matter how you define pop. You can be shitting on everyone who's come before you. Just try and carve your own path, and don't try and take it away from the people who have done a lot more before you, I think. Yeah. So Archie, get a grip of yourself, son. And you can't just be the first by saying you're the first, really.
I did just bring up his TikTok there because I knew who you meant. And I think I've just found Craig's TikTok because Anon23451234 has commented pop stars can usually dance. So well done, Craig.
I am vastly underqualified to comment on anyone's dancing. Like I say, his music is good. His dancing, I don't know if it's good or not, but it's just the whole I'm going to be Scotland's first pop star. No, you're not. And if you didn't go on about that, you could be one of Scotland's pop stars. But it just sort of turns me off to the whole thing. Just play me your music. If it's good, I'll be into you and I'll tell people about you. But don't try and claim to be something you're not.
But then if he's done the whole rage bait thing, it's worked, Craig.
It has worked because here I'm talking about it on a podcast and I am more than aware of the irony of this situation. But I'm telling people, take a stand, don't listen to him. Block him on Spotify just because, not really. But yeah, just I'd like him to be more likeable because even if your music's not great, then if you're likeable, I'll still give it a whirl. But if your music is great and you're not likeable, I'll probably just not listen to you. So that's a lesson for anyone else who's wanting to try and go down the viral route. Don't be a dick. Which good lesson for life, I think.
I'll butt in if nobody minds. I think Adam's up next, actually, since I'm talking. You mentioned support bands earlier on, so there was actually like half a dozen support bands for the How to Swim gig that we put on in December. And the one that I'd not really aware of, but more impressed by was the Hate 80s, who are for years, actually. I think that when How to Swim started off, Bob was actually their drummer for them. They're hard to categorise this, hard to describe as well. They've got a track called 3 Minute Pop Song, which is far from that, apart from being around about 3 minutes long, but kind of proggy sometimes. Quite a lot of the time they're very industrial. They seem to perform in absolute darkness and just pretty much a pounding beats, a bit of screaming, but somehow catchy as well, which I always appreciate. I always appreciate a tune. And briefly, we're talking about bands that probably should be number one in the charts, but rather mysteriously have never made it. And I was going to mention this a lot as well if we were talking Unsigned, because a band called Beautiful Cosmos it's Anna was in Maple Leaves and Matt was in Zoe Van Gogh, and they put a band together after they get married, I think. Beautiful Cosmos being based around an Ivan Cutler song title, and they just make this most perfect pop music. It's really beautiful stuff, and why they're not bigger, I don't know. They're very ecological as well. Matt's a professor of music, and also he's got a very green bent to him, I suppose, because they've started up a label called Donut Music, and Anna designs the album sleeves in 12-inch, but they don't put any vinyl inside it. Instead, they just give you a download code, which is that's just the whole concept behind it, but that doesn't overshadow the music at all. The music's excellent. I think it was my number one at the end of last year, actually, for Jock Rock. So that's a band that I would say been on the go a while, and they've been, I suppose, signed in their own individual rights in the past, but definitely undiscovered for me. And why, I don't know. Is there no justice in the world, etc.? But that's, again, why we do this, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. I was just going to mention, we're talking about TikTok. There's these guys that are completely against the concept of TikTok. They're kind of like the opposite of what they're doing, what they're trying to do, at least.
I love them already.
There are these, they've got this website called Communal Leisure. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with it. So you've got to check it out afterwards. They're a DIY gig like listing website that anyone can upload like an A3 poster image of their gig onto. I met up with a few of them that run the site like a couple of weeks ago, and it seems amazing. So their whole concept, they literally handed me this like little piece of paper and it said what they're about, and it was like, "We are totally against social media." was the first line, or something like that.
Well, we'll fight back. Here starts here. Yeah.
But they're really interesting. They've shown me that they're running this. These other guys called Glasgow Music Space. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of them.
Right, yeah.
But they run these like events you can go to, and one of them was these communal leisure guys. and they were talking.
I've just put up the website now. That looks really interesting.
They were talking about like the future plans. So apparently, they've existed for around 10 years or so, but only kind of really like getting a lot bigger nowadays. They've announced, well, they're announced to us, not to the public yet, but they're going to start doing gig like ticketing on the website, but with no fees. So no hidden fees. You know, Ticketmaster will say like 40 quid, and then you go to pay, and it's like
60 by the time you
Yeah.
get the basket, yeah.
But their aim is to have a site that's completely transparent. I think the website's actually like open source, and you can like go into it yourself and see how it all works, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But they're definitely ones to be looking out.
Yeah, fantastic. What was the name of the site again?
Communal Leisure.
Perfect.
And the other person that was at the talk, Han, they run ERP, Events Research Program.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with that.
No.
So it's a subscription-based gig, like gig event. So they do two events a month, I think, and you pay £3.50 a month on Patreon, and you get access. You get the ticket for free. Well,
That's
for
brilliant.
£3.50. So it's definitely something I would check out. I think they're stepping away from the project, but other people are taking
Take
place.
it on, yeah.
Yeah, but it seems to be quite a success. So they're able to put on a gig, and they've already got like, I don't know how much, like 500 or something. Like, it's not like a massive yield, but they've already got like this secure, like security basically, that the gig can. We've got £500 to pay the band.
Yeah, so some of these business models are these, shall we say, different business models are really, really interesting. And obviously, I mean, there have been attempts at some of this kind of stuff in the past. But I mean, I would applaud anybody who tries something different to try to break the hegemony. To say that right? Is that right? No, that's not right, is it? No, hegemony of Ticketmaster and some of the, let's just say, some of the other promoters, shall we say? So yeah, it's always interesting to something new. I'll definitely check that website out. In fact, I just saw one of the gigs that you mentioned there that you might be going to. I'm actually away this weekend. Otherwise, I might check that out. The Rat Eat Rat one, at La Chunky. Yeah, it looks like a good shout. Yeah, enjoy.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea, because if you're already paying something monthly, you're more likely to go to the gig because you've already paid for it. Very much.
Exactly, you're invested in it already.
It's pretty much like a live music version of those subscription boxes. I can't talk for anyone else, but I know my better half is subscribed to 1,000 of them, where every month something comes through the door and she doesn't know what is in the box. And it's like these gigs, you don't know what gig is going to come up that month, but you've paid for it, so you might as well go to it, and you could discover something you love.
I mean, you could also say that, for example, Last Night from Glasgow has used that business model, albeit on a slightly bigger scale for slightly, shall we say, older and well-heeled people. You pay in quite a substantial amount, but you get quite a lot back out. And that also includes, as well as the products that they make, it also includes gigs and other things as well. Yeah,
and I think, kind of in hindsight, we could have done another little, either a different podcast or included in this one with the promoters that are doing God's work around Scotland as well. Little indie promoters, like from the DIY scene sort of up. We obviously have DF, who are the biggest one in Scotland, run by Live Nation now, unfortunately, but you've also got Triple G, who are the biggest independent promoter. But there's so many little ones who are doing a lot of things that are worth going to. There's one that I've yet to go to one of their gigs, but it's just through bad timing and not the absolute desire to. Goblin Mode Promotions do a lot of underground punk and stuff like that that I really want to go to. So Goblin Mode, if you're listening, email in and we can do something together. I think definitely want to give a shout out to your shows because they all look fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Stuart's as good in the game over the years as promoting gigs that, I mean, it can be
definitely,
stressful.
Really,
Would that be about right?
There's got to be a very good reason for doing it, but also you really need a kind of team of people behind you, I reckon, to be a proper gig promoter. That's why we've had a couple of guys that have done business music gigs. Like we had about a year and a half of them in Dunfermline, and then 2 and a bit years in Glasgow as well. But the guys, I think, just burned out, and I'm normally burned out after I do one gig. The first gig I ever did was in Edinburgh, and I literally had to do the entire thing myself, including sourcing a drum kit and assembling this colossal PA and loading it in off a double yellow line. I still got a ticket anyway into this basement in Edinburgh, and then discovering that we didn't actually have a sound man because he'd gone off somewhere, and it was just it was stressful as hell. And I'm never quite sure why I did it again, but that was the last time I ever actually did a proper gig in a venue by myself. After that, it would be some sort of co-promotion. Even the promotion's a lot of hard work, but that's why we used the 13th note for so long, because your PA is in place, your venue's in place, and then you can just really concentrate with booking the bands and doing the important stuff. I think really is if you've got all that other stuff in place, you've got somebody like Brendan right here doing the sound for you, then you're laughing really, I suppose. You can just get on with sorting out the rider and all the rest of it, you know.
Definitely is. But back in the day, I used to do my fair share of putting gigs together as well. And if you go to gigs, it's easy to forget how much hard work goes into them. And there's been some dodgy situations because it was very much the punk and DIY scene I was into. And when you're having to mangle together a PA using bits and bobs of different PAs that really have no business being hooked up to one another. There was one gig where I wasn't doing it, but it still brings a smile to my face to this day, where they didn't have a CD player to play music in between bands. They did have a PlayStation 1 and a TV, however. So they used the PlayStation 1 to play a CD, and they just put a microphone in front of the CD speaker and mic'd up the TV just so they could play music in between the bands. And there's something really good about that DIY ethos, but again, it's just the stress of the night, and then you've paid all the bands and you go home with nothing. It's really a labour of love, which is why we do this sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, and the risk of angry punters accosting you is another occupational hazard, obviously.
Oh yeah, I never got that because I only ever put on good bands, so I can't relate to that. I had 100% satisfaction rate. I do remember one gig that I put on though, and when I found out we broke even on the tickets, I went round and shook the hand at everyone who came to the gig just to thank them, because I thought the touring band were going to murder me out the back of the venue if I didn't have enough to pay them there and then. And the money was absolutely spot on for everyone, and I just wanted to hug everyone. It's that kind of stress and relief. So a big shout out to all the promoters doing work out there as well, because if it wasn't for the music, or for them, we wouldn't have a music scene in Scotland, no matter how much the big promoters do stuff. It's all about the little guys pushing stuff up to the forefront. So we have lost Connor, just the technical difficulties there. He might pop back in, but does anyone have any other names that they're wanting to drop?
We were talking about sleazies earlier. I went to a gig. I can't remember when it was exactly, but it was this year. It was the headliner were the Swedish screamo band called Kid Feral.
That is outstanding on so many different levels.
They were pretty crazy. It was in the upstairs of Sleazy's, which was interesting as well. So it was quite tight, and you can imagine you got the crazy moshing going on.
Just want to hear some Swedish screamo as well.
I would check them out. And they were supported by two Glasgow. I don't know what to call them. Like, I don't know. They're not. I mean, they're legends to me, but maybe not to anyone else. This a band I've seen quite a few times. They've got. I think they maybe win the award for the longest name ever.
Go for it.
Their name is "All My Life Needed Was a Sense of Some Place to Go."
That is an outstanding band name.
I think they're screamo as well. But I've seen they're pretty prolific in the kind of DIY scene or the audio lounge universe.
It's a good universe to be in. My knees and lower back don't allow me to be in such a scene anymore, but like I said, I did sort of grow up in it, so I'm definitely here to view from the outside as to what's still going on in it. And I'm definitely here for music that involves a lot of screaming and getting that cathartic rage out of. So who else have you got on your list, Adam?
Let's have a look. Connor was mentioning that Midwest emo isn't really, or to him wasn't really a thing anymore. But
I will say, if I could just stop you, now that Connor's not in the room, he's talking nonsense. Midwestern emo's always he cannot defend himself, and that is fine. It is still the best genre of music as far as I'm concerned.
So hang on, is that one of the rules of this podcast? If you're not in the room, you start disagreeing with the person that's not in the room. Okay, I've noted. I don't know what you said about me when I've been away, but anyway, it's been noted, Craig. It's been noted.
Back as to what we were saying when you were here.
Yeah, okay, all right.
But I feel as if I must defend Midwestern emo, best genre that's ever existed. Sorry, go ahead.
There's a few bands, Midwest emo bands. I saw last year these guys, Daisy Chain Promotions.
Cool.
I don't know if anyone's familiar with them, but My Rushmore.
Okay, yeah.
Definitely a band to check out.
Yeah.
They've been doing the rounds. I can't remember. I think their last gig they went down to Stoke-on-Trent with like a big cohort of like Glasgow underground bands. So they're ones to watch. They're pretty cool. Who else was it? Well, I've actually got them on a poster up on my wall. Let me just turn around.
I thought you said that.
It's called Lovers Turns to Monsters.
I will stop you right there. I was going to mention this. I know we're running into the sort of hour and a half version of this podcast. I was going to mention Lovers Turn to Monsters. I mixed and mastered one of his albums back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Also, do you know this? He goes by Lovers Turn to Monsters. His name's Coyote. He is a legend. And I didn't mention him because, as far as I'm concerned, he's discovered, but he still plays tiny venues. Do you know he also done the theme tune to Dennis the Menace and Nasher?
What?
You get yourself onto YouTube just now. Dennis and Nasher theme tune.
You learn so many things in this podcast. Jesus, okay. Yeah, that's made my night. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, Lovers Turn to Monsters, definitely. I'll let you say your piece about them. But it was Beyond Glasgow Hills that I was involved in. Fantastic album of his. He's got such a body of work. I think he's up to about 10,000 albums he's released now, if not 20,000 albums. Is a good jest, but is definitely up there. But yeah, really interested to see what the younger man thinks of his music. So go for it.
Well, I went to his an album launch party.
Yeah.
One of thousands, apparently. I mean, I keep mentioning them. Audio Lounge has kind of been where I've been almost living recently.
Remind me the precise location of that, because I don't know. I think I've been in it with maybe something else.
It's in like a bunch. There's like a bunch of warehouses just off Maryhill Road,
near Firhill Stadium, near the canal.
Yeah. You can. There's like a way down from the canal.
Was there not like an unofficial skateboard park roundabout there as well?
I've actually heard.
I think my son went there back in the day.
There used to be, or there was going to be, but then it kind of got abandoned. And then I think the people that were working on that started working on Arches DIY, if anyone's familiar with that place.
Right.
That's a cool place. They sometimes put on gigs there, actually. Riffs and Ramps, if anyone's familiar.
Yeah, no, I know who you are. Continue with the. Let's not get too much into geography. Just pique my curiosity there. Yeah, I thought you was.
Lovers Turn to Monsters. It was just brilliant. It was a great night at Audio Lounge. There were only about, I don't know, all the bands in the crowd plus a group of my friends.
Yeah. To be fair, that is typically the audience that they play to. That is his main audience. It's whoever else is playing that night, plus his friends, which is a complete injustice. But I think he kind of loves it as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Dennis and Masha.
Everyone, listeners, go onto YouTube, check out Dennis and Asher theme tune, and then you'll recognise his voice instantly.
Is it the 2009?
That's a very good question, because there's two versions. Obviously,
there's
I'm a
two.
complete expert in
Is there a remix?
cartoon theme
Calvin
tunes.
Harris remix possible?
It's the one with the Scottish guy singing. That's all I can say.
All right.
You'll recognise it instantly. Another really good bit of trivia is he once played. He done a lot of like bedroom gigs and living room gigs, playing in living rooms and whatnot. And he done one where a young man also played by the name of Hamish Hawke, who is absolutely not undiscovered in the Scottish music scene. And they did share drummers, Barry, for a while as well. And Hamish is still doing things with Andrew Pearson, who runs a label that put a lot of Kyle's stuff out. Earlier on, when I was preparing for tonight as well, I was looking for a pen, and I had found a Lovers 21 Monsters cassette tape. He puts a lot out on cassette, possibly to make it really hard to actually listen to his music. Who knows? But definitely,
we still have cassette players.
I've got one somewhere. I used to have one in my car. That's how old I am. But definitely
me too.
have something somewhere. Vinyl's made a comeback as well, so I think cassette tapes will too.
Everything's making a comeback. I'm just going to jump in. I had one more to mention. I'm conscious as well that we've lost Stuart now as well. So we are slowly dropping like flies. One last one I mentioned that kind of for me as well. Again from scrolling TikTok, a guy called Dan Byrne. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's Byrne. So I think it's Dan Byrne. Liverpool based. But basically, think about if Blackstone and Cherry met Led Zeppelin and just formed a band.
Nice.
This boy's vocals are just phenomenal. It's your typical classic rock, but my God, he's good. Honestly, it's one of those ones that I came across. You come across a clip, and again, it just stops you in your tracks, and you just go, "Hold on, this is worth waiting to listen to the rest of it."
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got his new album, his debut album, This Is Where the Show Begins, is out on the 22nd of May. He's got a new single at the minute called She's the Devil, which again just starts with absolutely searing vocals, and I recommend everyone checks that out.
Is he signed? Does he have records?
I don't think he's currently signed. He's playing Glasgow on the 28th of March. He's playing the Attic, in the Garage Attic, on the 28th of March. And I tried to look at Ticket Scotland, and it's only 16 quid a ticket, so I'm very tempted to head along to that. So I think I'm going to pop along to that. It's not sold out yet. He's doing sort of a mini UK tour, which actually a few of the dates are sold out already. He seems to get a bit of traction behind him, which, going by his voice, is well deserved. Just definitely, like, if you're into your kind of sort of nice classic rock and roll stuff, it's exactly up that kind of street.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll call it an end then. Thanks everyone for listening, and like I said earlier on, if you have any hate mail you want to send in to us, we now have an email address. It's podcast@isthismusic.com. If you have any suggestions as well.
If you want to do it in person, Craig's home address is...
Come round, chat my door and meet my German Shepherd. That is not a problem at all. So thanks again everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next month. No idea what we're going to be talking about, but I'm sure it's going to be good as well. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, till next time. Okay, cheers guys.
Cheers.
And nighty night.